Deportation flights from the United States to Guatemala resumed in December 2024. These flights signal an escalation in the Trump administration's crackdown on undocumented immigrants. The administration aims to deport millions of individuals deemed illegally present in the country. This policy marks a return to the hardline immigration stance that defined Trump's first presidency. The resumption of flights has sparked anxiety and fear within immigrant communities across the United States. The Biden administration had significantly slowed the pace of deportations, prioritizing cases that posed national security risks. The Trump administration, however, has vowed to expand the criteria for deportation. Their focus includes anyone deemed to have entered the United States illegally, regardless of their criminal history or family ties within the country. The Department of Homeland Security has released limited information about the number of flights scheduled or the specific criteria being used to prioritize individuals for deportation. This lack of transparency has exacerbated concerns among immigrant rights groups. They argue that the policy could lead to the separation of families and the deportation of individuals with legitimate asylum claims. The resumption of deportation flights is a stark reminder of the Trump administration's commitment to tightening immigration enforcement. This policy is expected to have significant human and political ramifications both domestically and internationally. The Trump administration has made it clear that their priority is to deport undocumented immigrants. They have identified two main groups: those with criminal records and those who entered the U.S. during the Biden administration. Official figures from July 2023 show over 650,000 individuals identified for potential deportation due to criminal convictions or pending charges. Additionally, the administration seeks to remove the estimated 5.8 million individuals who arrived during Biden's term. The administration argues that prioritizing these groups sends a strong message about the rule of law and deters future illegal immigration. They claim that focusing on individuals with criminal records will enhance public safety. Critics, however, argue that this approach is overly broad and could ensnare individuals who pose no threat to society. The inclusion of those who arrived during the Biden administration has drawn sharp criticism. Opponents argue that it unfairly punishes individuals who may have been responding to shifting U.S. policies or humanitarian crises. They point out that many of these individuals have established roots in the U.S. and contribute to their communities. The administration has indicated that their ultimate goal is to remove all 11 million estimated undocumented immigrants in the U.S. While no specific numerical target has been set, the administration's rhetoric and policy pronouncements suggest a commitment to large-scale deportations. This approach has sparked fear and uncertainty within immigrant communities. Deporting millions of people presents a daunting logistical challenge. Immigration and Customs Enforcement has approximately 5,500 officers and a daily detention capacity of 40,000. Even with the potential to expand capacity to 60,000 using private contractors, the scale of the task remains immense. The limited number of flights, approximately a dozen aircraft each carrying 135 individuals, poses a significant bottleneck. Beyond detention and transportation, securing cooperation from receiving countries is crucial. Many Latin American nations face their own economic and political challenges, and may be hesitant to accept large numbers of deportees. This lack of cooperation could create diplomatic tensions and further complicate deportation efforts. Deporting families adds another layer of complexity. Legal protections for minors, particularly U.S.-born children, complicate the process. Separating families raises serious ethical and legal concerns, as highlighted by the widespread condemnation of similar practices during Trump's first term. Given these logistical hurdles, critics argue that the Trump administration's deportation goals are unrealistic and potentially dangerous. They warn that the pursuit of mass deportations could overwhelm the already strained immigration system and lead to human rights abuses. The resumption of deportation flights and the Trump administration's broader immigration crackdown will have a significant impact on Latin America. Countries like Guatemala, El Salvador, and Honduras, already grappling with poverty, violence, and the effects of climate change, are ill-equipped to absorb a large influx of deportees. Many of these individuals will have limited social or family ties in their countries of origin, making reintegration even more difficult. The deportation policy risks exacerbating regional instability. It could overwhelm social services, fuel criminal networks, and potentially trigger new waves of migration. This, in turn, could undermine U.S. security and economic interests in the region. The Trump administration's confrontational approach to Latin America, including potential military action against drug trafficking in Mexico, and the recognition of an opposition figure as the legitimate president of Venezuela, further complicates the situation. The administration's decision to dismantle the Biden administration's root causes strategy, which aimed to address the underlying drivers of migration from Central America, is also concerning. By cutting aid and rolling back efforts to promote economic development and good governance, the Trump administration risks exacerbating the very problems that contribute to migration. The resumption of deportation flights is just one aspect of a broader shift in U.S. policy toward Latin America. This shift, characterized by a return to hardline tactics and a disregard for human rights, threatens to destabilize the region and undermine U.S. interests.